So I have to say that I have read, I've been a parent for 15 years and I have read some parenting books, but the way you bring parenting into this book with so much compassion, empathy, you share your own stories. You have these 5 tools that you talk about that help you connect with your children. You have amazing affirmations that you share in here. Can you touch a bit about the 5 tools that you share in this book?
Sure. This book is sort of core training. It builds your core. And just like we talk about building our core in the workout, it's in our workouts, in our bodies, like the core is the most important part of who we are. That's what holds the rest of our body together. Similarly, these tools were designed for exactly that reason, is to build the parenting core, to know that when you falter, you have your core to fall back on. So the first tool is honorable parenting. And I actually have a diagram around this in my book as well, which I'm sure you read. And I actually hand drew it myself. It was interesting. I hand drew it during the publishing process. And I told them this is sort of what the theme is all about. And the publisher, my editor, recommended to keep it in the book. They said this is perfect because it enlightens and spotlights what the basis, the premise behind the tools are. So the first one is honorable parenting. How can we honor ourselves in parenting? Which is when we can actually teach our children to honor themselves. And honoring ourselves is about accepting and respecting our own strengths and our own weaknesses, coming into our own existence, coming into leading our lives in a way that we don't feel like we're not good enough, so that we don't transmit and transfer that on into our children's lives. Emotional legacies are the biggest damage that we can do to our children. So if we know who we are, what existence is all about, what life is all about, where we stand in life, then we're able to raise our children with more confidence. So that first honorable parenting is about planting self-confidence. Second one is approachable parenting. That's about building trust. It's the second layer. How can I build that trust so that my child can confide in me? How do I make myself open and open-minded and open-hearted so that I can receive the guidance that they're looking for and meet them where they are? That's approachable parenting. The third one is sensible parenting. So if you can imagine, this is coming from our deepest core, internally being honorable, then that next outer layer is to be approachable, and that third physical layer is to be sensible, because it is through our senses, our 5 senses, we perceive our whole world. We perceive every single experience. So how can we then use the strength that we have in our 5 senses as a communication tool? How can we use our 5 senses to connect with our kids, to create connection? Because the whole point is that long-term relationship with them. And so making that eye contact, speaking kindly, listening carefully, using touch, using our 5 senses, using our sense of perception, which is our sense of smell, using that before we react. And then the next one is reasonable and responsible parenting. How can we reason with our children instead of argue with them? That then takes us to responding instead of reacting to our children. And the very last tool is enjoyable and memorable parenting, which is pretty much the goal of parenting. How can we make this ride enjoyable? How can we make it memorable? How can we look at it from the lens of the infinity of the relationship and the love, but the finiteness of our ride as humans together? So that's where the enjoyable and memorable parenting comes. That's where I spotlight the traits of, building this respect with the children, having an environment that's conducive to connection, tilling that soil so that all the tools and our intentions, we all want to be great parents. We all have the same intentions. No one has a different intention in parenting. Everybody's intention is the same. I want to have a good long-term relationship with my child. I want to be connected with them. I want them to trust me. I want them to confide in me. I want to trust them. So how can we then take these 5 principles, take these 5 tools, and make them really central to how we connect with our children, building that long-term relationship, carrying our intention into our actions? That's the big disconnect. We all have the same intentions. How can we carry that into action? And this is probably going to be my longest answer, Dr. Monica. So those are the 5 tools for you.
I love these 5 tools, honestly. And I've always found myself after reading the book going back to look at some of the tools and then being mindful about that day. So I absolutely love all these 5 tools that you share in your book.